Hi everyone, this is the MLA formatting video. So your major projects, your project writing projects, need to be done in what's called MLA format. And MLA stands for the Modern Language Association. They deal with all things associated with English. And so they just have a particular way of setting things up on the page. I want us to be aware of formatting. I mean, on some level, formatting, not on some level, formatting is arbitrary. You could have different kinds of formatting. And so if you're in a different course, if you're in a history or psychology course, you're going to be using a different kind of a formatting. Um, and one formatting in and of itself is not necessarily better than another. It's just that in certain situations, if you obey the rules of formatting, everybody knows where to find what they're looking for. And so it's kind of important that we do that. And you just have to get used to, in certain kind of situations that you might find yourself in, uh, uh, various kinds of professional situations. Things need to be formatted in a particular way so that everybody can find what it is they're looking for. And so just keep that in mind and just have that kind of flexibility and have that ability to be able to say, look, when I'm in one situation, I format things in this particular way. When I'm in another situation, I format things in this other way. So just keep that in mind moving forward, right? That it's not a matter of this is the best formatting. It's just this is what we do here. And again, having that flexibility to be able to do that. I mean, there are different things that I might, if I'm working on a grant or something like that, I might have to format something in a very different way than I'm used to. But I have to do that because all of the other applications are going to be formatted in that particular way. And one of the things that people do when they're looking through applications, looking at, job applications, cover letters, things like that, if things are not formatted the way they expect them to be formatted, they might throw out the ones that aren't formatted correctly because they're like, look, this person didn't follow directions. It's hard for us to find what we're looking for. We have more applications than we know what to do with. That's one of the first things to do, is just things that aren't formatted correctly. So just be aware of that it can be important even though it's kind of like just something that we make up. So for MLA formatting, you can see in Blackboard, in the Module 3 writing project, I'm sorry, the Module 3 writing project number 1 module, in the Part 3 on rough drafts. This document is here, right? This MLA first page format document is here. So you can open up this exact formatting document. And you'll see here that it's got the name of the student, right? That's what's up here in the top left-hand side. My name, the name of the professor. I'm not Bennett, but in the other one would be my name. This is the name of the course. Sometimes my students get confused because when we have class on campus, we will actually have class in the humanities building, and so students will think, oh, you need to tell me what you're supposed to be talking about, which room we're in. But actually, humanities is a course you can take. So here you would be putting English 102. You put the date down here, just the number of the day, the full, write out the month, and then the year. So do it in this particular format here. In the top right hand side, a lot of times students will forget this. In the top right hand side, you put your last name and the page number, and that's on every single page. So it's going to go on the first page as well. See, it says page number 1. You put it there. So your last name and then the page number. You'll notice you need to have a title. I don't care what your title is. You can name your title writing project number 1 for all I care. That's perfectly fine. You don't need to spend your time thinking up a clever title. Just come up with something that's going to be a title that's going to be centered. And I will show you exactly how to center this in just a second. I'll show you also how to put this header up here, which is going to be which is the your last name and page number. I'll show you how to do that. And then you need a ½ inch indent for your paragraphs. I'll show you how to do that. A lot of times students use tabs to do that, or spaces. That's not the way to do that. And I know a lot of times, what I find it interesting, a lot of students have learned how to use tabs in that way. But there's a better way to do that on the computer, and I'll show you how to do that. So your paragraphs need to have a ½ inch indent, and then they need to have 1 inch margins on both sides there. You can see it says 1 inch margins there, 1 inch margins there, and then all of this needs to be double spaced. So on one level, what you simply need to do is kind of hold, when you do your document, you can put this document here right up against what what you're writing and say, does mine look like this? And it's because I'll have a lot of times students will do things like um, get these backwards, right? They'll say, put their name, and then they'll put the name of the course and then put my name. And it's like, well, right up against what you wrote, you would see, oh, wait, I'm doing these out of order. So just, it's really just following along with this, looking very carefully at what's in the model and following along with that. The next document I'm going to bring up here is just this is an actual student from last semester who did this, sample student. I've taken their name off of this. They're writing about a poem per Simmons. We're not writing about that this semester because the poem's a little long, and we're in a rush this semester. But this was for writing project number 1. And you see what they've done here, and they've got, again, all of those in order, right? Their name, my name, the name of the course, the date, the title is going to be centered, their last name and the page number, ½ inch indents there for each paragraph, 1 inch margins on all sides. So this is done correctly. This person's getting full credit for having done their MLA formatting correctly. So that's ultimately what you're going to want yours to look like. I'm going to show you now in a blank document how to do some of this. One of the first things that to start is on the doing your header on the top right hand side. One of the things you can do is you can just double click. It's hard for you to see that I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to double click my mouse real quick right here at the top of the page. And if I do it correctly, if I do it up high enough, do it up here at the top. If I double click at the very top of the page, I get this line here. If I double click again up here, it goes away. That never works as well as it should when you're click down below the line. So if I click above the line, it comes in. I click below the line, it disappears. So I click up here at the top of the page, double click, this line comes up, and I can type whatever I want here. All right. So I'm going to type my last name because that's what we need to have. Now I can't just type the page number 1 because if I just type a 1 there, what's going to happen if I double click off of this is as I go through multiple pages, the 1's going to keep showing up, right? I'm going to different pages here, but each time I go to a different page, I get the same page number, so that's not going to work. We've got these fancy computers, they can do things for us, right? They can think for us. So instead of just typing in the 1 there, I can go to, I'm here in header and footer. Oh, you kind of can't see it, but off there to the left-hand side of this, I can't make you see it while this is running, but off to the left-hand side, there's a little tab that says page number. And if I click on that, I can say page number in the current position. And again, this is in the this header and footer tab, right? And I can click on it. I clicked on that, and let's see if I can bring this over. Scroll it over so you can see it. I can't do that, but again, if you're in the header and footer tab, it'll just be over there to the left. It says it's labeled page number. And when I do that, click on page number, it will automatically do the page numbers for me. So now when I go to different pages, now it's 2, 3, etc. Now, of course, this isn't where I want this. If we looked back at that original document, this is on the left. What I have here is on the left-hand side. It's supposed to be on the right-hand side. So if I double click in here, I have that little, I can only work in this when this dot is there. If I click on this, and then if I click on, you can't see where I clicked on, but the home tab, you've got these little icons here, right? This one means something's all the way to the left. This means something's centered. And then this one means something is all the way to the right, and that's what we want, okay? And then if I double click off of this, then now that's there. I can't go back and just touch this anymore. It is always going to be there on its own, right? And so I don't ever have to worry about that. As I go to multiple pages, it will be there. It'll always be in the right-hand side, and it will always have the correct number. So then I need to just type my name, the professor's name, the course, the date, right? And so that's done as it should be, right? I only hit the hit enter once, just once. Sometimes students think, well, but don't we hit a bunch of times and you end up with a lot of space there? Realize there's no space between this last line here and your title. And I'm going to type my title. But this isn't where the title is supposed to be, right? The title is supposed to be centered. So I can highlight this and again go back to these icons up here at the top. The one that's to the left, to the middle, and to the right, this is going to be centered, and it centers it for me. Again, sometimes students want a tab to be able to do that, but center it, and it will always be in the exact right position. If I hit enter again, I'm back at center, but my paragraphs aren't supposed to be centered. They're supposed to be over to the left here. So let me do that. And now I can start typing my paragraph. This is my thesis. And then I'll go on, right? Since they're all together. And so as I go through here, it automatically sets up this paragraph for me. Partly it did that because if I look in this paragraph tab here, you can tell indentation. I want this indentation at 1/2 inch, which is what it said in MLA formatting, and I want that first line to be indented a 1/2 inch. And so it's automatically going to do that. I don't ever have to. All I have to do is hit enter, and it'll automatically give that to me. I don't have to do anything else in there. So one last thing that we need to do, we're supposed to have 1-inch margins. You'll see that this thing that I have here, because of that indentation, every time I did a paragraph, it ended up an inch farther and a 1/2 inch farther in. If I highlight this whole thing, see these little tabs here? I can pull this back, pulls the whole thing back, and that's how it ends up where it's supposed to be. And so now this is MLA formatted. So play around with that. It is sometimes a little bit difficult to get the hang of, but you can watch at least the last part of the video a couple of times to make sure you get it. And again, that's how we're going to set up our MLA formatting. So work on that for your rough draft. Again, that doesn't count against you if you do it incorrectly, but I want you to work on trying to do that as well as you can. So I'll be commenting on what you do on those rough drafts.